board on this computer and we're good to go. Let me know if you guys can see this real quick, just in the chat or wherever. Remove drawing. Can everyone see this? I need to know. Okay, cool. I'm removing some drawings. Okay, so we're gonna get this thing rolling, and I'm gonna try to keep this just under to 7 o'clock. Probably gonna be a little sooner than that, even because I don't think this needs to be a really long call. Not much has changed from last week. If anything, I'm gonna show you guys what I've been seeing, and we'll just start to look at Bitcoin. We'll remove these drawings here. I believe we're looking at the Coinbase chart, so I would say it's pretty accurate over the last. And let me go to the weekly. Looks pretty crazy. I mean, dude, look at this off a log. That looks just absolutely insane. And I'm going to make sure one last thing, this doesn't pop up and bug us out by putting it on the right-hand side. Bam. Okay. So when anyone looks at this chart, you know, it does look a bit scary. But when you look at a log chart, you see that at the end of the day, we're really not much further off in terms of percentages from the previous all-time high, right? Matter of fact, we're only up 218% from the previous all-time high. Now let me change the chart here because we're not getting enough data on Coinbase. From the previous all-time high, the first time around to the last all-time high, we had a percentage gain of 1,600%. So is it possible that from this all-time high, and again, I'm going from the wicks on the weekly, that maybe, you know, we get half of that? Well, let's just see. And based on indicators, whether or not we can kind of get a better guess or an estimate. Well, we're only 218% off. Is it possible that we go to what, half of 1,500 is 7 or 800, I would say, because it's like 1,600. I mean, that's $176,000. So I'm going to go ahead and do this here. I'm just going to toss that line there. There is something that I use often to kind of find targets, and it's called the Fibonacci retrace tool, the fib or retracement, right? I think on the left-hand side, if you have a TradingView account, it is, I always have this as a favorite. So it's under this one right here where you see the pitchfork. On the left-hand side, you see fib retracement and trend-based fib extension. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and go through the history now. I'm going to go back to now the BLX chart. It's just kind of a fun little thing. Okay, and I'm going to start from the end. And by the way, I'll get back into Bitcoin here, and then I'll move into these here in a sec, just so you guys can kind of see what's going on and why I think we're going to hit certain targets. In the meantime, I'm just going to go ahead and teach you how to use the fib tool. I use it from the top down or the bottom up. That's it, period. In larger trends and shorter trends, you can go to the daily. Okay, on the daily, for example, we had this whole deal here. So I would go from the top here to the bottom here to see what's my next target. Okay, and often you see it retrace to the 1618. You also, if you're on a log chart, just a heads up, you want to make sure that you have it when you like go to the settings to fib levels based on a log scale. If you don't have that, it changes the prices and the percentages. You see that? So I didn't know that for the longest time until I found out. And when I found out, I was like, wait a minute, I've been doing this wrong the entire time. So make sure you have that clicked on. You click OK. And let's just see if it respected any of these levels. If it respects levels, guys, more often than not, you can count on it as a tool to use. If it doesn't really respect levels, then, you know, I wouldn't use it. That's it. It like literally, if for example, on, let's just say ocean here, let me delete all these. Let's just say, you know, from here, let me go ahead from this top local top. This was at one time the local top to the local bottom, right? Let's just say it didn't play with any of these ranges and it was just all over the place, didn't like bounce off of one, retrace from another, all that jazz. I'd say, you know what, it's probably not reliable enough of a tool. But in this situation, obviously, you can see we're respecting levels quite well, right? So number one, from the top again down, or from the bottom up to retrace. And I'm not going to teach you guys Elliott wave theory. A lot of people use this in Elliott wave theory. I think Elliott wave theory is just far too advanced and honestly unreliable 95% of the time. From my perspective, my viewpoint, there are those people that trade that way. I keep things simple and I just stick with the fib retrace tool. I mean, it's not rocket science, right? And so we don't want to complicate things. The more you complicate things, the more that you're making stupid decisions, or better yet, you're sitting in indecision and you don't make decisions at all because you know too much. And so that doesn't help either. But in this situation, look, top down. Okay, first and foremost, we hit this range right here, the 382. Okay. And then we kind of, you know, chilled for a minute, popped all the way off, and you can see to the 786. This is resistance, supported at the 0.5 multiple times, back down. So we're playing these like perfectly. And then finally the 618. And by the way, this is the golden ratio. You're 1,618. Let me go ahead and just draw a circle around this. And the reason this doesn't actually come, no fib tool, when you do the settings, I'll give you an example here. We'll go ahead and grab this. No fib tool comes stock with your 0.65. I add that, and you can add that anywhere. You can literally delete this like right here. I can add like 0.65. Can someone mute themselves, Kyle, please? Thank you. So you can add that there and watch. It's just gonna be a pink as well, I believe, overlaying, right? So it doesn't matter where you add it in the tool. Kyle, can you please mute yourself, man? We can still hear you. Edward, it said you raised your hand. I don't know if you had a question. We can ask questions. It's a small class. We don't have too many people in today. If you have questions, go ahead and just shoot them in the chat. Okay, just shoot them in the chat as we're going, and I can answer them because it's a small class today. But you can just add the 0.65. Why? Because this right here, this little range, always seems to be where it's an extreme point of interest, period. Why? Based on nature, man. Like if you guys look up, I'm sure some of you guys have already known this for a long time. I know that Blaise is a mathematician in mathematics, right? There is this shape. And if you look at Fibonacci, it's just based on numbers. It's like God's design. Fibonacci in nature examples, right? You'll be able to see that almost everything, the way that you flip your hair when you're riding a bike, all things kind of point back to Fibonacci. In natural situations and circumstances like this, right? And I'm going to turn my mouse pro on so you guys can see it now. Into, you know, the way that trees are designed. This is actually these are boring examples. I want to see like in the world. Donald Trump, right? Even like people are overlaying this stuff on continents, right? The solar systems look very, very similar. Almost all things that are beautifully and wonderfully designed have this very similar shape and mathematics behind it. Ocean currents, right? This wave, right? I actually have the Great Wave right here above me. And by the way, the Fibonacci numbers, when you do math, Fibonacci numbers are actually present in equations that built pyramids. So, and some people say those are some of the most beautifully architectured type, you know, things in history. So, and they're still around for a reason, right? They were strongly built. Triangles are powerful, strong. So that being said, the fib is a pretty interesting tool. Now, typically what I like to do is I like to think outside of the box. When it comes to trading, in, you know, any market, not just cryptocurrency, any market, a lot of people use this tool. So usually when a lot of people use a tool, you want to stay away from it, right? Like if, for example, I try to do this in Forex, we go to Forex here. We'll do a big pair. Let's do Euro USD. I really don't like FIB because first and foremost, this market is run by banks. They see the order books. They know where everything's moving. I don't. You and I have access to order books in crypto. We can see where the money's moving. We know that everyone sees it. And so I think in markets where there's more transparency, unlike Forex, these levels work well in these types of markets. So right, for example, this is a good example, actually, even though technically I wouldn't trade with the Fibonacci tool in Forex markets. In Euro USD, we popped down from 139 to the bottom of 103. Look at this. We made moves up, supported here at the 2-3, up to the 5, supported at the 3-8. This is like a textbook, right? Midterm uptrend, even though long-term we're in a downtrend. Popped up to the 618 and into this golden pocket is what I call it. Again, I don't normally use it here. Now, the reason that this market moved in this way is because the bank allowed it. The banks that own these books, they allow this. So you feel good when you made a good trade. And then you bet bigger and bigger. And then the market swings volatilely in one direction, just like this. What the heck happened here? You want me to show you what happened here? I know exactly what happened here. Bankers manipulated price. People saw this trend, were selling. And honestly, it probably should have moved down to around this range. Instead, the bank said, screw you guys. We're going to pump the price. People got liquidated all the way up. And then it came right back down to where they were at. So this is why I don't like Forex personally. Okay. But every now and then they'll let you have one of these. And again, this is the daily. So I could even, find more examples if I were to go down to, the 10-minute chart, right? And let's just go ahead. And I wouldn't look at log charts on this. These markets are completely different. This is why I don't like trading these. Okay. We're going to get out of Forex. This is about crypto. Let's go back to Ocean. That thing's going to be there for a while. And so let's get out of the 10-minute. Let's go to the daily. Ooh, were we at the daily or were we at the 4-hour? I don't remember. Whatever we were at the 4-hour. Okay. So if it plays with the level very well, chances are it's a reliable tool, especially in a market like, with crypto. Why? If a lot of traders are trading it that way, and it's not like an ultra liquid market. Let's just go look it up real quick on CoinGecko. How liquid is this? And guys, let me read this real quick while we're at it. I want to understand the reverse function. If I'm looking for top targets, I go from the top to the bottom, or if I want to see support, I click on the reverse on settings, or yeah. So to explain that, right, I'll explain it here after we get into this. I'll show you exactly what that looks like, because that's what I was going to go into next. We're going to go ahead and look up Ocean. So right now it's sitting at 121. The total market cap, dang, this thing is pretty sizable, $700 billion. Let's go to Etherscan. So it's built on Ethereum. It's a token. Total wallet holders has been growing consistently since March. Well, not a ton, honestly. It's still 29,500. So not by a ton, guys. You can see this is the quantity, the order book here. This is what I love about cryptocurrency. Let me go ahead and what were we looking for here? We're looking, what were we after again? The market cap, not just the market cap though, right? What was I sharing with you guys? Can you guys drop in the comments or even interrupt real quick? Not interrupt, but share with me. I had a point. So we're sitting at 161, the 1618. Look at this. Guys, if you want, you know what, while I remember that, this is exactly how I found you would find this target, right? I would look for the top of a move, which in this case, the top was 73 cents. It dropped from over a period of time from 73 cents to its all-time low, or excuse me, its local low, not all-time low, over a period of 49 days down to 21 cents. You guys see that? Took a while to really kind of make a move all the way up again. So this was a period of time. When you see something like this, and then you see a new higher low, I always get these things mixed up. A higher low, this low is higher than this low, then you can safely assume this is probably the bottom of this short term, or this trend overall, this bullish trend, but this is the local low. So for that reason, right, when I get this data here, now I start to see us moving up again to the previous all-time high around here, right? And I get this W shape, I can safely assume, number one, that we've reached a bottom right around here at 29 cents. Look at this. It's almost like a head and shoulders, right? Not really, though. You can't consider this, I'll just be honest with you. You cannot consider this a head and shoulders. Head and shoulders needs to form in this motion. I'll show you. Bam. Shoulder. See this? We never even touched the previous top. Oh, what's going on? Here, let me delete this. I messed up. Okay. Right here, left shoulder. This would be right. Head. See how it needs to complete? So it'd have to be like right there. Right shoulder. So notice we never even touched this range again. Normally this left shoulder would have to come back up, test, hit this range, head, right here, touch, shoulder, touch, breakout. If we close above here, that would have truly been a head and shoulders, but it kind of looked like it. So this is where people get their TA wrong completely. By the way, head and shoulders have a very high probability of being completed. I think like 70-some%. And I have a screenshot somewhere I have to look for. But head and shoulders are a great way to trade, guys, whether they're inverse or head and shoulder from the top down. Bearish or bullish is what I mean. So in this situation, this is not really head and shoulders, more like a W. Either way, typically, when you see a trend like this or a pattern like this, you'll see resistance at the previous all-time high, or you'll break out and then break right back down. And I'll give you a textbook example of that with RSR. Our previous all-time high, not too long ago, back in February, was here. Okay. And if I came down to, let's go to the daily and just look at that real quick. Heck, previous all-time high was even right here at the 712. Why there? Right? You guys remember I made that call and then it dipped heavy and you had an opportunity to buy here. It was just, you know what I used for that call? It was so simple. I did a lot of TA, obviously. I had to make sure that other things, aligned. All I did was go from the previous all-time high, I'm telling you this is the truth, to the bottom. After I said, okay, number one, are we trending up? Yes. Did we, retrace enough from the previous low, which was in March, all the way to the new all-time high? Well, and guys, this is what you do with this tool. It's really simple. Well, we only retraced 0.38. However, you notice this again, this became a pretty solid support, right? The VPVR, well, this is a terrible example because you don't want that old school data, but right here, the VPVR says I have a lot of volume right in here traded, like a lot. Compared to obviously here, this is the most amount of volume. Obviously, people are buying like crazy there, but the next real range would be in this range right here. So there's more volume traded here, obviously, than here. Like when you notice how we've never been back here again, but when we were here, we didn't hang out here long. Look how much time we spent in this range. We spent many, many weeks, months, right? A couple months, probably at least what? November, July, yeah, months in this range. Yes, we were above it for a while, but overall, plenty of volume was traded here, which is why it developed a support. So that being said, I could safely assume this is probably the bottom. Why? Because now we have in the trend overall, we have a higher low. Okay, we get rid of the VPVR. So that being said, what happened here? Well, in this situation, you can see this was like textbook. So there's multiple things that typically happen. But in this situation, the first time around from 3 cents, right? When we broke out, right? You had a series of higher lows. We didn't have a higher high yet, but I can safely assume that we're in an uptrend from here. Doesn't matter, right? This low is still higher than this low. So, and then I use, some other indicators, hopefully either prove or disprove my theory. In this situation, we broke out and we never broke back down 3 cents. And I don't think we ever will again, right? Especially if Bitcoin hits some parabolic advances. But my target would have been, or it was at the time, you guys probably remember the call, 618, 1618. And look, we touched it, tapped it. I remember, Drew, you actually called me asking, should I sell a little? And I was like, well, I've seen this enough before. I'm taking a position off the table. It hit a target pretty nicely, and it dipped all the way down to 3.2 cents again. Well, ish, almost. So now that we've had a higher low again, and then here again, I could safely assume we're probably going to make some new highs. Now, this is what ended up happening. We broke out right here. Scam wick. This is what I wouldn't call this a bear trap, because obviously we're having higher highs now and we're well above that price. But let's just say this happened, and I've seen this happen so many times, where you break out, people buy in right here, right? And they're selling right here. And I remember I was at the ocean. I was like, I think Cannon Beach the day of, it was like at 6-8. And I was like, guys, this is going to be a good buy. Why? Because when this typically happens, people are freaking out selling here because they think they're going to go lower lows. And I was like, no, but this is right here this is not where I enter. I wait to enter around here, guys. Now, again, I kind of know the market enough to say I could buy here. And if it goes a little lower, I'll probably sell, keep a tight stop. But again, I just seen it enough that if I didn't have any more information or knowledge at the time of this asset or how markets work, I would say this is a good entry right here. Okay, now look at what happened. This is an even better entry. Why? We're simply retesting this range to make new highs. Now, if you notice, this looks strikingly similar to something like this. This is probably a shorter time frame, but we could test this one more time. But I think we're probably just going to make a higher low again, maybe into this range 7.7 tops, if we don't break out to new all-time highs with Bitcoin. Either way, I think we're going to make a new higher low compared to this 6.7 range. So that being said, that's what happened here. We'll go back to Ocean. In this situation, is it possible that, well, right now I'm seeing some pretty nice strength. The more that you tap on a resistance, and look at this, the 1618 evenly. We were supported at the 618 and the 65. Heck, you could do the same thing right here, guys, if you really wanted to. It's like a golden pocket. Okay, let me add one more. 1 point. Why is it doing 0? 6, 5. Bam. Look at that golden pocket. You could have sold in this pocket. We could break back down. We might break back down to the 125. Either way, the more that we tap on this resistance, it eventually becomes a support. We break out to a new all-time high. People are freaking out buying in here. Drops right back down just below the 1618. And I'm learning to trade better here too, guys. So like I make this mistake sometimes. Either way, I like when I see a trend, I just like to buy and add to positions. Now I don't buy to massive losers, right? I'm not trying to, I never recommend it. I've learned too much from traders that are better than me. Never buy into a loss. If you're losing, don't add to positions. Just get out as quickly as possible. Cut your losses ASAP. Crypto is so bullish. Maybe I feel greedy sometimes. So I know that if we break back down and I got in right here, I'm probably just adding to my position. If I make a small loss or we start to drop more, I'm going to be out, guys, because I think we could drop right back down into these ranges. Is that still, a high? Sure. But I mean, from 160 down to $1, that's a big difference in asset value. Now, if you're willing to hold, you're a hodler for long periods of time, dude, don't sell, period. But for people like me, I do like to play small swings. I do like to take profits here. I do like to, buy back in at a lower price or vice versa. For me, it's fun. For most people, and I take some losses, guys. Like that just happens, right? ANC, for example, I was telling people to buy here because on the 4 hour, I mean, bro, look at 1, 2. We had massive, wicks to the downside, kept getting bought up. I saw one last wick here and I was like, okay, we're ready to break out. Completely wrong. This was my stop, guys. And by stop, I mean, I was telling people to have a stop here. I screwed people when I made that call. Hopefully they didn't take fully the trade. But when it hit this range and I saw it now we're supported here, I was like, this is exactly what they knew was coming. They knew, it's almost like they saw my TA, said, we're going to stop him out first, and then we're going to move up. It's hilarious. I just added my position here, and now I'm up on this product. Look at how it pumped. It's probably going to come right back down to the 440 range. And if we break out above, let's just do the VPVR again. If we break out above, look at that, 480. I'm not even using many indicators, guys. Like I could go ahead and try, and sometimes it works really well. But either way, I think we'll break back down. I think, we pop right back up to 480 and break out. I mean, there's no real resistance in between these levels. If anything, we could move sideways for a while. Break out one more time. If we test that range one more time, we're breaking out down typically, not always. Sometimes you just move well beyond it because of some news or market event or cycle, right? And it's always unpredictable to the point where I really don't know. Sometimes it could take a while. It could be in May of 2021, right? Before we get, well, that's not that far off. It's hilarious. It's not that bad, but it could look something like this. It could look something like this. You come back down, touch that range, come back up. Either way, it's a new higher low in this range, right? So overall, my first immediate major target is going to be 650 for this product. I like this product. I think they're one of the best in the space with Luna. Phenomenal project. They had massive investment in VCs on their end. So overall, I'm very bullish on Anchor, and I think compared to the overall market, I mean, you guys just look at the trends, guys, right? Like look at Binance Coin. Would you be buying a ton of your net worth in there? I probably wouldn't. You kind of got screwed. You should have been buying all through here. You should have been buying all through here. Look at all this capitulation, right? And market sideways movement. You could have been buying, like right now, for example, I'll show you a few others that are just nasty in terms of their upside. Theta. Would you be buying your entire life's, net worth in here? I mean, if I really got off the log chart, it would look pretty nasty. I'd take a position probably. We've retraced it, from 14 down to 11, sure. But, it's just not as big of an opportunity as ANC, which is a great product. When you see an all-time high to 850 and then it dropped down to half of its value during a massive bull market, all it takes is a few pieces of good news, some traders just to find out, wait a minute, we're way down. I'm in products that are way up, pumps it to 540 overnight. And then they're like, everyone's FOMOing in because they see on CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap. Let me pull this thing off to the side. CoinMarketCap, your top movers of the day. There's like on the app in particular, it shows you your top movers. And so people are like FOMOing into these things. And it's hilarious to me because those are the losers, period. So I added to a position here. It was a good move in my opinion. If it continues to dip further, I'm very bullish this asset over the long term. I'll probably buy more. Again, I don't recommend it if you're going to be a short-term swing trader. I recommend it if you're an investor. For me, in these types of products, I invest in things like Bitcoin, especially, I like to swing a little bit because it's fun. I don't do Bitcoin, if you really wanted to be smart, you would just continue to add to the dips. This is the only indicator you would use, guys. If you want to be dumb like me, you ape in because you want to be right. You just add to these dips. And that's the 4 hour. Let's go to the daily. Every time you see a green candle, let's just do this. in terms of volume on the fixed VIX, the VIX fix here. Why is it not grabbing this thing? Let's go here. Okay. Here. And you can add every day. Just add 50 bucks, 100 bucks. This is the best way to make money, period. And I'll show you guys something that we've been working on that is going to be a tool that we're going to sell. It's a software that we're currently working to develop over the long term. And it is the best thing I've ever seen, guys. And I've seen a lot of tools, but let's just say you added there. Okay. 100, 500 bucks every single time, period. Don't complain about not having money. Have some money set aside, get a job. Okay. Fix your future and just buy these. Let's see if we were right here. You bought there, you bought there, you bought here, you bought here, 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 and it's constantly moving up. You'd be up a lot, guys, period. And those are just those moves, right? You bought, you know, I could continue going. There was even more massive volume here. So you're constantly buying these dips here. That is probably the smartest thing you can do. So let's go back. I want to get back into really quick fib, and we're going to remove drawings and indicators. What we just did. Wow. So let me see if there's any more questions. No more questions. Awesome. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll show you the fib now here from this range to, again, bottom. By the way, in an uptrend, it's great. Look at that. We popped the 618 pretty nicely. Bitcoin is so parabolic. I've noticed that ranges are okay with fib, but they're not that great. Like when it comes to a target, we'll blow right through the target and then we'll blow right below the target. Like it's not like, you know, and you can see right here, we did test it for an entire day. From that day, we broke down, people took some profits right here. We busted right through. People were buying for the next 3 days and got destroyed, right? And then look at, we touched that range again, broke out, broke back down. I wouldn't use a fib all the way on Bitcoin. Personally, from what I'm seeing here, this is just not reliable enough to me. I'd rather just use ranges. I'd rather use VPVR, which you do need a premium account for, visible range. And I'll just draw these lines here. Bam. I mean, right there. Look at that. So now we're retesting this from previous runs and looks. I would say that we probably break right back down 55 just to get, you know, those laggards out. Still a higher low, right? Higher low, higher low, higher low, so on and so forth. And then it makes its advance up to a new all-time high. So I hope you guys are getting value from that. Now, in terms of retrace, let's just do that real quick. So guys, you were asking, you know, can you do it in the opposite direction? Sure. I mean, let's go ahead and start right here. Why here? Because this was kind of like the bottom. If I looked at other indicators, this was kind of the bottom of that move and just a lot of sell volume. So that to me was a local bottom, especially, you know what, I'll show you. If you weren't on log chart, it would look a little bit better, right? Let me get away from there and not actually auto it. Like we didn't know all this crap was going to happen. So in general, this is all you saw. Okay. Like that is a pretty deep wick from 19.5, you know, to move in 2 days down, what, $3,500 when Bitcoin's under 20 G's is quite a lot. So for me, that would have been kind of my bottom. John, do you mind muting yourself, bro? Appreciate it. Not that I don't want to hear you. So here we are. You know, I would go from this bottom right here, geyser, right, to the top. And you can see here, and this is, again, very simple tool. I don't fully trust it with Bitcoin because it is so parabolic. Typically, I'd say, well, you know, I would like to see it retrace down to the 618. Look, it didn't even touch. It only ever touched the 0.5. And so you have to look for other indicators. Well, why did it only go there and not here? Let's just see if the VPVR supports that theory. And let's go to the 4 hour. So we have more data to look at. Look at that. pretty fat deal here. A lot of volume traded there. And again, you notice how, look at, even though this is massive support, there wasn't as much volume traded at the bottom here because it was bought up so quickly. So it never hung out here for long. It actually hung out in this range a lot more. Right? From like 3,400 to 3,200. So for that reason, it bounced from the 0.5, 2,900 up. Now there's a million reasons for that. You know, you could go ahead and again, the whole point I'm making is that the fib in this situation is not that great of a tool because it broke down below. Sure, it bounced from the 0.5, right? I'm looking at this range here, but it broke down below the 3.8. And if I was just using not the fib, right? Number one, I would expect it to kind of go to the 618, like this is a magnet. And I really was expecting it to go there. But Bitcoin is either so bullish or parabolic or indifferent to market tools because so many new players are entering the game that it's really tough to predict. I like to use the VPVR mostly. Like if I were a buyer in this range, I'd be pretty happy because I mean, how much more downside do I have from here? Well, yeah, a decent amount, right? But after seeing maybe this second, third week right here, where it really popped to this range again, and it didn't break down, I'd say, okay, I'm pretty confident that we're going to move up. If we kept breaking down, I would have got out for a small loss. But I just, you know, for me, the VPVR is a pretty solid tool in Bitcoin, right? So you can see here again, massive support in this range right here at 47, even though we broke back down below it. We can look at the fib again, right? So now from this bottom, which is like right here to the top. So it seems to me that the 0.5 is where it's touching and ranging a lot. Let's go ahead and do that one more time. Maybe it is a good tool in this situation, but then here's the problem. Now, after a third time, let's say it does it a third time. It's like, you really think that that's going to happen a fourth time? Just mathematically, it's unlikely. Look at, we broke back down below, but we never even touched everyone's buy orders. A lot of people probably had buy orders at 49 to 50, never even touched it. It's just a bit unpredictable. So, you know, my odds or bet would be that next time it doesn't even get near the 0.5, it either goes way below or, you know, stops at the 0.38. Because just again, odds, is it going to do it? Can you flip a quarter once and it lands on heads or tails? It's 50-50 odds. If it lands on heads a first time, are the odds likely that it's going to land on heads a second time? Well, yeah, maybe, probably. Okay, it lands on heads a second time. What about a third time in a row? Now that's a little bit more unlikely. A fourth time in a row and a fifth time in a row, very unlikely. It's eventually going to, the odds get higher and higher and higher that it's going to land on tails the next time. And so that's why, you know, fib, it works well until it does it, and then you get screwed. So don't over leverage yourself using one indicator, use multiples, right? Like, so for example, if I saw, okay, there's a lot of trade volume here. This is also the 1618. You know, in terms of the top of that trend line, that's kind of where it looks like it's going to break down, yada, yada, yada. This indicator, we're oversold, sure. Okay, excuse me, overbought. You know, all these other indicators, awesome. I think that's a good place to get out. Fair. Using solely the fib tool, not really. In RSR, it was almost a little predictable because I was using other indicators and tools as well. So that being said, let's come back. So I want to show you guys real quick. Let's pull out of this real quick. We'll come back to it in a sec. I hope that answers your question, bro. You can go from the bottom up to see a retrace, or the top down to see, you know, a target, if you will. My friend and I were joking today. We were on a call and we were like talking for a bit. And he's like, what if Bitcoin dropped like 98%? I'm like, bro, 98% from here. Let's see what that is. And that's what we were talking about today. It's hilarious. This would be, let's go to log auto. Okay, let's see what that is. Jeez, bro, this is nasty. Is that really that low? That's 110%. That's why. Let me delete that. I don't know what's going on. 98%. I'm making a joke here. Now it's taking long. Would be like, you know, down to 926 bucks, 700, 800 bucks. And he's like, bro, I had a bad dream last night that Bitcoin dropped to like 98% of its current value. And I was like, You're kidding, right? 900 bucks a Bitcoin. That sounds like a steal. You know, most people would call that a market crash. I call that a retrace. So I'd be buying it left and right. I'd be taking out loans. I don't know. I'm joking. I probably wouldn't. I'd be crying and freaking out that I lost all my money. But okay, so let's pull out. I had notes here I wanted to go over real quick to kind of share with you guys what my TA analysis outlook is looking like, and you know, from a technical perspective, also from a fundamental perspective. So currently the total market cap, let's go to the total market cap of the whole market. Okay, let's come out to global charts. And give me 1 second, guys. I'm gonna pour myself something else, another cup. I am getting tired today. Okay. You guys see that? We are currently, let me even expand this. Total market cap right now, it looks a lot like Bitcoin because Bitcoin is the majority of the market cap. We're sitting at almost $2 trillion. Sounds pretty crazy, right? For an entire market that acts not only as an asset against inflation like gold or silver, assets that are decentralized finance. So now we're taking over banking, assets that are better protocols for the Internet of Things like Oracle's, company like Oracle, which Larry Ellison owns, which is regular data, not blockchain data. In the real world is worth, he's one of the richest men in the world. Assets that are like NFTs for gamers and digital items and digital real estate. I mean, at the end of the day, these markets have so much room for growth and potential that the $1.9 trillion market cap to me is just kind of like a joke. Like, it is so minuscule compared to what it could be. And just to give you guys a comparison, the market cap of Apple alone is more than $2 trillion. One US company. Now, it is the largest, sure, but that's not accounting for every other market in the world. Okay, let's come back out of this now. That's kind of hilarious to me. Bitcoin in general, or Bitcoin right now, market cap is around, it says, not even $1 trillion. So it actually dumped a little, which means there's about 1.1 trillion total market cap in everything else combined. I could go and show you that, what it looks like in Ethereum, and you name it, but we're not going to go ahead and do that. You know, the gold, silver, palladium, which apparently my friend's dad owns. It's kind of funny. I didn't know much about it. And platinum is a total of, what is this? 700 plus, this is like 12. So about $13 trillion in this. And by the way, this is kind of a rough estimate. This is what we know, right? They're still mining more gold. You can never mine more Bitcoin. People have lost billions and billions of dollars of Bitcoin. 1 billion, or excuse me, 1 million Bitcoin of the 21 million total market cap is still sitting in the original wallet. And people have theories that the man actually died. And if he ever moved it or sold it, let's just say he's alive, Satoshi Nakamoto, and he sold it, or the majority, people would lose faith. So if I were him, I wouldn't sell it no matter what, right? The guy's probably living on loans. It's kind of funny, but I mean, I wouldn't sell it. I want this thing to win and succeed. So alone, there's 14 trillion just in gold, silver, palladium, platinum. If I were to go to the total value, now this is something I got from Sibley Research. It may or may not be completely true. And by the way, with the trillions currently printed after 2020, which is kind of funny, right? This thing is higher, period. This is more like $52 trillion minimum. Okay, so $52 trillion in total equity in the US stock market. That's not including other markets around the world, other indexes around the world from different countries. We're not the only country in the world. And so there's pensions, which when you look at the bonds and pensions markets, I could show you guys, but it's going to take some time to find it. The correct numbers, they're kind of all over the place. In general, we're talking over $100+ trillion in pensions and retirements and bonds alone, debt. So when you look at all of these different markets, you say, now, would it be possible that some of the later players in the field, pensions, are going to say, let's take and allocate 3% to Bitcoin or cryptocurrency protocols in the future, 5-10 years down the road? And I just say yes. So for that reason, What is the potential total market cap of all of cryptocurrency, not including shit coins? Let's go back. Did I delete that? Here we are. Over 2 trillion, easy. I mean, we're talking, I would have to say at least 30 to 50 minimum. And so if, let's just say Bitcoin took, a quarter of that, $30 billion, $30 trillion, 30 times 0.25, that's still 7.5 trillion. And that's low. That's a very, very low estimate. That's not even the market cap of gold. Is Bitcoin a better technology than gold? Yes, by far, hands down, better technology than gold. It is deflationary by nature. So 7.5 trillion, probably more like 10. At $10 trillion, Bitcoin is worth about 500K a piece. Now, is that going to happen this run? I doubt it. If I were to just look at a few different indicators, I really like this, but I think it'll be wrong eventually. I don't think this thing is going to last forever. But for now, it works. Let's remove these drawings. Notice I legitimately was a little nervous here. You can see we bounced out. This is what you call a black swan event. But in general, we've respected this Bitcoin log chart for quite some time. Every time we broke out above the midline, it only took us about 6 weeks here, 4 weeks here to create a new all-time high. But we never broke out above this previous top, this top line. So from this range, let's just say here would be about 58, 60 days, 70 days tops. The price in that range would be, so we either need a lot more time for Bitcoin to actually hit some of the targets that people are saying, 200 some thousand. I don't think that's going to happen, to be honest. But let's just say we hit the top of this range over a period of 60 days. Why? Because this was like half of, 3/4 of that. We'd still be at $113,000 to $120,000. At the top of this range, I'm probably a seller, and I'll hold on to about half of my alts. Maybe all of them. I'll have to do more research by then. But I will be selling a lot of my cryptos, near the end of this run here for Bitcoin. And the last time we saw Bitcoin start to dip, altcoin season really took off, and we saw thousands of percent where Bitcoin did hundreds of percent. So it's likely that altcoin season will come right after Bitcoin hits its all-time high. But still, I do want to be a little cautious, and I guess I'll come up with my game plan before then. But we're getting close to the end of the finish line in terms of what I believe will be a top for the time being in through 2021. We'll probably see the bottom of this trend again. Either way, the lowest you'll probably ever see Bitcoin, if we do reach a low, would be like 39, to $50,000 before we reach 417 to, let's just say, if we respect this indicator, okay, to 600 some $1,000. People are talking, $500,000 to $1 million. I actually see that happening at some point in time, but I think it's going to be over the next 5 to 10 years, because it's going to be a more mature asset. It does need more time. The money just not going to come out of nowhere. More people need to be evangelized. Other people need to die, right? Someone needs to get their parents' retirement before they drop a ton of it on crypto, because their parents passed away. I mean, the baby boomers are not all dead yet, and not all of them trust it. They've made their money in old money markets and assets, and they don't understand crypto. But I can tell you this, I've never met a soul my age who's not interested. I've met a lot of older people that just don't understand it. They're curious. They've seen what happens. They think it's a bubble. So that's my theory. I don't think we're going to be hitting this range anytime soon. So for the time being, I think the top is going to be around here, which would only be when you look at another indicator that I like using. You guys are getting gold here, by the way. Things that I've had to do a lot of research to find some of this stuff, and just time. Another indicator that I like to use for this is actually the 2-year MA. You can see here the first time, again, I've showed you guys this multiple times. So the first time around we hit 160%. First time this was like 400%. This was 160. Is it possible that when we break this range right here, let's just say the line continues to like here, we break the range, we could pump, shoot, even 30, 50%? Yeah. And that would still be a top of $130,000. Like either way, in the range of 100 to 130, I'm gonna start to think about maybe, pulling some profits and I'll feel comfortable with that. But I don't think this run is over yet, and I will explain one last reason why. Then I will go into, a few other things here. I can go over one or two altcoins, and we'll have a good time. So there's an indicator that I've liked to use, and actually I can't do it on this BLX chart. By the way, the BLX is the oldest chart, period. Okay, that we have. You can see here, we're sitting at 6 cents here for our bottom, and obviously a wick down to 1 cent. I watched this thing happen on a video the other day. It was pretty crazy. The dude was watching it crash from like $1 up here, or excuse me, not $1, 17 cents, all the way down to like 1 cent. It was kind of crazy. But anywho, let's come back to, let's go to not big. No, I don't want Coinbase. I want an older chart, Bitstamp. This is another really old chart. They're pretty similar. The markets move pretty close together within a few dollars. So I'm not too worried about, not being perfect or having lower liquidity than Coinbase. I've used this indicator a decent amount recently. It's been working really well on the 4-hour. Every time we're in or below the 50, or in this case, what? This is like a median line, right? Like negative 50 right here. Anytime on the 4-hour chart, we're below that range. And you can see here, we break out to a new all-time high. We're currently there. And in this situation, look at 17,000 to like 20,000, same. We made a higher low, but a lower low on this deal, which is a divergence. For what, a couple months or 11 days, excuse me. And then we broke out to an all-time high. Same situation here, although, yeah, it's a divergence, right? Right here, see how the price is moving up, but the indicator is pointing down and moving, making lower lows, break out, new higher high. And again, I'm assuming that's going to happen here. Look at this. Now, would I rely on this a fourth, fifth time? I'm going to be a little bit more wary. That's it, right? Odds, it's just odds. Whether or not it works every time, you have to be really lucky for this thing to work 50 times in a row. Okay, there's going to be a time where it just dumps. Why? Because no one's right all the time. And anyone that tells you they are in these markets is lying to you. They want something out of you. But right now, after, the third time, I'm pretty bullish, guys. So let's go look at these guys real quick. We'll come back and look at Ethereum, Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin dominance, and we'll be done. Okay, so let's go to all exchanges inflows. This is a chart. I guess we're already on. I don't need to zoom in. It's already auto scaled. This is a chart that shows you right here the amount of Bitcoin that are flowing into all exchanges across the board. All exchanges being these guys: Binance, Coinbase Pro, Qboy, Kraken, Bithumb, Bitfinex, Qcoin. All of these different exchanges, Bittrex, Pumpanomix, okay? This chart right here is showing you money moving in. Every time money moves into a decent level, like 100K plus, I've noticed price breaks down. You can see right here. Sellers, why? They're moving it into an exchange to sell. You can see, look at a lot moved in here on the daily. That same day, we dumped. Can you mute yourself, John? Thanks. We dumped from 19K down to 17K. And again, we saw the bigger dip here from 131K inflow down to like 34. in this range. And we saw a lot right here too, right? Anytime it's even at, 100K, 80K, there's people come, flood the markets to sell. No one was, flowing in here. Why? Because they were not trying to sell at 30K, but then they kept seeing it make lower lows and they're like, getting worried. That's when they say we need to come in, toss these into the market, sell. If anything, if I see these guys, I'm looking to buy in a bull market. I'm seeing it getting up to here. I'm looking to buy in this range. Now, in this situation, we're not seeing much inflow. Why is that? Well, we could see one big old inflow right here, and that means we're probably going to dip down to 50K, right? Whatever. Still a higher low, or maybe 52, 53, it doesn't matter. I look at it and say that's probably a good range to buy. But on top of that, the reason that there's less inflow is because people are holding. And that tells me that we have stronger hands at these higher levels. People like, not even people, banks are starting to move into these things. And if they bought in here, you think they're greedier than me and you, banks, right? They make more money than us. They're greedier. Why? Because they like money more than you and I do. If I cared more about money, I'd have more of it. That's the reality, right? Your values are always in line with your life, right? It's funny. People say, well, I love somebody, but then if they continue to cheat on them all the time, do you really love them? Or the same could be said of, food. Oh, I don't, that's all crap, junk food. It's like, then why are you eating it? You're lying to yourself. Your values are out of line with what your words are. Well, in this situation, I look at banks, they really value and respect and love money. So if they're buying in these ranges, which they have, you really think they're going to sell here? If anything, they're just holding, and this proves it. They're buying it, and now there's less and less money flowing into exchanges because they're holding it in the private wallets. So let's come back out to this now. All exchanges, the reserve of cryptocurrency Bitcoin in all exchanges. Right here, we had 2.7 million in crypto, Bitcoin in particular, sitting in exchanges at 10K. Right here, we had 2.6. At 11K, we had 2.5. And now we crossed over. When we crossed over, the price has gone up and the reserve has gotten smaller. Why? Again, private wallets. And we're at currently an all-time low of money in cryptocurrency, Bitcoin sitting in reserves on exchanges. That means there's only 2.3 million Bitcoin that's tradable on any exchange. Back in July 2nd of 2020, there was 2.7 million. So being at an all-time low, that means people are holding on to it, and that's why the price is going higher. Last thing I'm going to show you is the Bitcoin stock to flow. This thing is almost like perfect. Some of you guys have seen this. Oh, there it is. I'm not going to explain all these because I don't even fully understand them, so I'm not going to act like I do. I just know this. This purple line is the halvening. Every time this purple line pumped up, it's because there's less supply. So this was the halvening, right? And May of last year. This was 2016. This is 2012. It's based on blocks. The yellow, red, blue, green, all that stuff is actually price. Obviously, you can see it looks very similar to the chart. This blue line is kind of the curve at which it should grow and where it's going to stay. And if you can see here, we've always kind of hung out in that range. Now, we pumped heavily above it multiple times back in the previous all-time high of 2017, back in the previous all-time high before that in 2014. And now I don't doubt, based on the current trend and trajectory, right? When we've been in the orange range, right? We had a yellow range, and then a very light yellow to a greenish range. We're still in the orange range. And this thing has proven to be a very good indicator. You can look up why it works by just, minimizing this, going to digitalic and reading about it. I'm no mathematician. I have friends for that. But this explains exactly what's going on from a mathematical standpoint. And that being said, the average price, what it should be come September of this year actually, is going to be at least 100K. Does it mean that it could pump well above? Well, let's put it this way. The stock to flow, what it should have been, the price from the previous halvening in 2016, right, was 5,600. We pumped to 20 grand. This one should have been about 53 bucks to 150. We pumped up a little early because this was the most parabolic thing in the world to $1,000. So we pumped up over 1,000, or like 900%. In this situation, we'll probably pump 100%, 50%, 20%. I couldn't tell you exactly what, but based on all the other indicators and how fast we've moved, it's likely that we'll pump at least 20 to 30%, maybe 100 at the high end, right? Because again, this was more than 100. This was like 300%. This was 900%, maybe 100% here, maybe 50. Either way, I would be, looking to sell anytime we're well above this range and I start to see it really taper off and turn maybe more like light yellow green. Whenever I see that, I'm looking to take profits. So this is like your guys' exit plan. I mean, this is gold, guys. Like, you weren't kidding. We don't buy gold around here, Drew, but like, this is gold. You just use these indicators. You don't need me. Sure, use the group for an altcoin, right? You guys want some altcoins, sure. But for Bitcoin and what else we're doing, like, these are the things that I look at. So let's come back here. Let's look at Bitcoin, Ethereum. Ethereum, dude, it's a 10K token, hands down. The fact that it's chilling so much is crazy to me. But this is a nice steady growth. I personally like it when it looks like this, right? You can see here, we've been down below. This has been working really well, even for Ethereum on the 4-hour. But I'm gonna get rid of this thing now. Ethereum, we're consistently making new higher lows. We're making higher highs. And if I were to go out to, let's zoom out to the daily. Put a line. I like lines. We broke back down, supported the previous all-time high in 2018. You notice how this was in January 2018, the all-time high in Ethereum, which is like significant because alts are like Ethereum. Ethereum is altcoins, straight up. Every altcoin is built on there. Excuse me, not every altcoin, most altcoins. Okay, this high happened a month previous. Look at that, December of 2017. So I think there's going to be a month-long run again. History isn't always a good indicator of what's going to happen in the future. I'll just be honest with you, but it's possible. I think there's going to be an all-time high again with Bitcoin, and Ethereum will likely follow to a new all-time high within the next couple of months, right? So we've got a support here now, and let's come out to look at this right here. I love Ethereum, by the way, because the total locked value is just nuts. I'm locking tens of thousands of dollars in Ethereum alone for these liquidity pools. So right here, we broke out to a new all-time high, retested support. This thing could easily break back down into the 1800 range. I wouldn't be shocked. I've seen this way too much, but I'd be buying right here because I think we'll break back out to a new all-time high. If you wanted to use the fib sequence, you just go from the top down. Again, guys are right here's the 1-to-1. The 1618 is $2,900. So that would be my next target. We'll see a lot of movement here. I think this thing, the way it's been moving slowly, I doubt it'll happen within the next, couple weeks to even a month, but maybe a month and a half, 2 months out. 2,900 seems very realistic. Now, should this coin be worth more? Let's just go and look at the market cap of Ethereum. The total market cap of Ethereum is only 244. I don't know why I got that weird market cap over here. See, I like CoinGecko a lot more, guys. Is $244 billion. If we 5x from here, which would make the market cap $1 trillion, that would be a 5x price appreciation of Ethereum, which would be 2,100 times 5, $10,500. Is it possible that this asset is worth, this product, this technology that most cryptos are built on is worth $1 trillion, which is $10,000 a token? Yes. I don't even doubt it for a second. It should be worth 2 times that minimum. But let's just start there, right? And so like that would be the 472 from this little move, but I don't even look at that. I would look more at the long term. I would just do this for a fib long term. The 1618, look at that. 10,000. Literally 10.4, exactly what I said to this range. Isn't that weird? I don't know how it works. It just works, guys. That would be my long-term bullish target. Why? It's worth that. It's worth more. It's worth more than Apple. It really, really is worth more than Apple. So that's a $2 trillion market cap. Or that is a $1 trillion market cap. A $2 trillion market cap would be twice that price at 20,000. And by the way, when we hit 10,000, I think 20,000 would come pretty quickly. Like, I don't think that'll take long for it to appreciate from 10,000. I think, it could look like this long term, right? And then it'll look like this. Like, that's what I've seen happen with these types of markets. So let me delete these things. Let's look at the one last chart and we'll hop off. I hope you guys learned something. Drawings, we'll go to Bitcoin, Ethereum. I had one line there. Why? Seemed to be a pretty good support-ish range and a resistance range. And I was telling people to be bullish Ethereum here. That sucked. The thing about Bitcoin charts, like if you're going to do a Bitcoin pair, show you this one. Well, that's not a good example. Let's go to the 4 hour. They typically tend to be very rangy like this. Like they have a lot of volatile swings to the upside, back down. Chainlink is less volatile, but still, you can still see it moves like more like I would say a volatility index does. It's weird, like the VIX, the actual VIX. But in this situation, they're not the most reliable charts. I'll just be honest with you. But as the Bitcoin dominance continues to decrease, Ethereum and other assets will continue to increase. And so I do believe if we break out above the 0.04 range, which would be what's 0.04 times, let's just say 60,000, 0.04, 60,000 equals $2,400, like cake. But that means Bitcoin's not moving at all. If Bitcoin moves, that means this thing, if Bitcoin and Ethereum move together, this thing is ranging like this. If Bitcoin is not moving and Ethereum is moving, this thing moves up. Why? Because Bitcoin's not going up in value, but Ethereum is. They're just paired against each other. But I do believe when we break out above the 0.04, we're going to see some pretty nasty momentum. And I'll be real with you. This may not happen. It may move slowly like this and chill here for quite some time up until the new all-time high of Bitcoin. Ethereum will pump right back down. Why? Because Ethereum's not going to move. It'll just stay the same price as Bitcoin is growing in value. And then at the end of the Bitcoin bull run, as Bitcoin starts to go down in value, this thing pumps like crazy when Bitcoin starts to go down in value and Ethereum is going up in value. So this will start to look more like these moves right here. See how we're a nice steady grow? Why? We're moving up and down because this means Bitcoin was going up while Ethereum was going down. This means Bitcoin was going down while Ethereum was going up. So I think we'll continue to see some movements like this. I don't think we'll see anything crazy until the end of this bull run. Bitcoin starts to drop in value, and that's when Ethereum and the altcoins have their turn, and we start to pump like crazy back in 2017. As you can see right here, this is what happened. And I don't doubt for a second this is also what's going to happen again. So there's the analysis, guys. I hope you guys learned something. Do we have any questions before I hop off? Yeah, we'll get the recording to you. You guys can look at I'll have to upload it to YouTube. I've got to do the tagging and all that crap, but I'll do it to you. I'll do it for you guys and get it to you tomorrow.
Do you have a YouTube channel, Paul, or are you just posting it?
Yeah, I'll add it to YouTube and I'll just send it your guys' way on my YouTube channel. I don't post a ton on there, but I'll start to I want to start to do that with these videos, although they're not going to be like, I like to go for ranking. It's just a lot of work. You have to go all in on YouTube. It's a platform that's a bitch, to be honest. Telegram's a lot more fun.
Are you using the Zoom Professional, or are you doing like your regular Zoom?
I pay for Zoom Premium now. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
For these calls, any questions, guys, crypto wise, or you guys? Yeah, I would love it if you guys share this. The one thing that I really be appreciative of, I know this is currently, this is a smaller group and everything, and today was Monday. Would love if you guys share this with your squads or, your teams or your friends or your family that have interest in cryptocurrency. Jordan and I wanted to make a premium group, but we figured, screw it. We're just going to wait till 1,000, 2,000 members. before we start to charge any amount of money. If you're already with Beyond or Digital Warriors, you know, this is going to continue to be free for you unless you want all that extra other stuff. And I don't think we'll keep this channel free, but we just wanted to have X amount of people in and to just continue to provide value and share. So if we ever did launch something, you know, yeah, we'd sell a little private premium membership for nothing unaffordable. We want you guys to make money. The goal is not for you to lose money in some deal. But would really appreciate if you guys just share this with people, or better yet, you know, not only the video if they want to learn, but the group. And that would make us feel pretty grateful and appreciative. So anyways, we're good to go, right? No questions.
Thanks, Paul. It was really informative.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys for hopping on. All right, I'm going to stop sharing now. And I'm going to end the call.